It is 4:57 p.m. on a Friday. You have your bag packed. You have mentally checked out. You are visualizing your couch, your sweatpants, and the sweet, silent sanctuary of your apartment. Then, Dave from accounting, who has never solved a problem on his own in his life, hovers over your desk. He asks if you can, just quickly, help him with a spreadsheet that is definitely going to take 3 hours. Your brain screams no. Your soul screams no. Your plans scream no. But what comes out of your mouth? Sure, Dave, no problem. You despise yourself immediately. You walk back to your car later that night, wondering why you are like this. Why do you voluntarily sign up for your own misery? Spoiler alert, it is not because you are weak. It is not because you are a pushover. And it is definitely not because you just love spreadsheets that much. People, and by people, I mean the loud, oblivious ones who treat your time like an all-you-can-eat buffet, love to label this behavior as a lack of confidence. They tell you to just stand up for yourself, as if you hadn't thought of that. But here is the uncomfortable truth. This has nothing to do with confidence. This is not a personality flaw. It is a biological hijack. Your brain is actually doing something genius, but it is doing it at your expense. Society has been completely wrong about you. The world is designed for people who take up space, people who demand things, people who view every interaction as a transaction where they need to win. Then there is you. You exist in a world that mistakes kindness for weakness and empathy for availability. They think you say yes because you want their approval. They are wrong. You say yes because you are operating on a completely different frequency than they are. They are playing checkers. You are playing 4D chess with emotional undercurrents they can't even perceive. You are the glue keeping this chaotic, selfish society from tearing itself apart. And instead of a thank you, you get more work. But let me be crystal clear before we go any further. You are not broken. You are not weird. You are simply running a high-end operating system that prioritizes social harmony over individual gain. And frankly, it is exhausting. Let's pump the brakes and look at the hardware. Why does the word no feel physically impossible to say? Why does it get stuck in your throat like a dry cracker? It comes down to a specific region in your brain called the Anterior Cingulate Cortex, or the ACC. Think of the ACC as your brain's error detection system, or better yet, an overly sensitive car alarm. In most people, this alarm chirps when they make a mistake. In you, this alarm is wired directly into your social prediction center. When you contemplate saying no to someone, your brain runs a simulation of their disappointment. Because you likely have hyperactive mirror neurons, think of these as high-speed Bluetooth that involuntarily pairs you with everyone else's emotions. You don't just predict their disappointment, you actually feel it. You are not imagining their sadness. Your brain is literally downloading their potential negative reaction and playing it in your own body before the conversation even happens. To your primitive brain, saying no registers as social rejection. And here is the science that will blow your mind. The brain processes social rejection in the exact same neural pathways as physical pain. So when Dave asks for help and you think about refusing, your brain lights up as if you just stepped on a Lego. Saying yes is not a choice you are making to be nice. It is a reflex to stop the pain. You are taking the path of least neurological resistance. You are self-medicating the potential conflict with compliance. But here is the kicker. This sensitivity, this inability to tolerate the friction of a no, it is actually a superpower. I know, it feels like a curse when you are proofreading a document at midnight for someone else, but look at the evolutionary logic. In the days of the tribe, the lone wolf didn't look cool. The lone wolf died. Survival depended on cohesion. The people who could anticipate the needs of others, who could smooth over conflicts before they started, and who prioritized the group over the individual were the most valuable members of the tribe. You are the descendant of the diplomats who kept the tribe from killing each other. Evolutionary psychology suggests that your people-pleasing is actually a high-level survival strategy called appeasement. You are the sentinel. While everyone else is oblivious to the emotional climate, you are tracking the barometric pressure of the room. You know who is upset, who is lying, and who needs support without a word being spoken. You have an integrity that forces you to honor the social contract even when others burn it. You aren't antisocial or weak. You have such incredibly high standards for connection that you are willing to sacrifice your own comfort to maintain the peace. You are holding the line for civilization. Wild, right? But where did this specific software update come from? Usually, it is a pattern recognition adaptation from childhood. At some point early on, your brain learned that being low maintenance was the safest way to exist. Maybe you had volatile parents, or maybe you were just the easy child who didn't want to add to the stress of a chaotic household. You learned to read the room to survive. You became a pattern recognition machine for other people's moods. You learned that if you could anticipate a need and fill it before it became a problem, you were safe. You trained yourself to be a shock absorber for everyone else's anxiety. Your brain wired itself to believe that your utility equals your safety. If you are helpful, you are kept around. If you are difficult, you are cast out. This isn't trauma dumping. This is just data. You built a mechanism to stay safe, and it worked so well that you are still using it, even though the stakes are no longer life and death. You are treating a request for coffee like a saber-toothed tiger attack because your amygdala doesn't know the difference. So, what does this look like in your daily life? The consequences are hilarious if they weren't so painful. The math just works differently for you. You will spend 45 minutes crafting an email to decline an invitation, typing and deleting, adding exclamation points to seem friendly, only to eventually delete the whole thing and just say, "I'd love to go." You treat your own energy like an unlimited resource, and everyone else's comfort like a fragile Ming vase. You probably have a micro habit of rehearsing conversations in the shower where you finally set boundaries, delivering Oscar-worthy monologues of assertiveness, but the second you are face-to-face with a human, you fold like a cheap lawn chair. You likely feel a perverse sense of relief when plans get canceled. It's the only dopamine hit you get all week. You apologize for things that are inanimate objects. You bumped into the table? You apologize to the table. You are constantly managing the emotional temperature of rooms you didn't even build. It is a full-time job that you aren't getting paid for. Congratulations, you now understand the machinery. Here is your permission slip. You do not need to become a selfish jerk to survive this. You do not need to stop caring. The world needs your empathy. It just doesn't need your martyrdom. You are allowed to treat your energy like a fortress, not a public park. You are allowed to recognize that the pain of saying no is just a biological glitch, a false alarm that you can safely ignore. You are built different, and that is a good thing. We need the diplomats. We need the sensors. But a sensor that is always on eventually burns out. You don't need to fix yourself because you aren't broken. But you do need to realize that your yes only has value if you still have the capacity to give it. If this video just explained your entire life, don't scroll. The next video explains why your brain replays embarrassing moments from 2008 at 3 a.m.